You ever build a custom part only to find out the car's not ready for it yet? Today we're going to be installing these custom made side vents that we made on a previous video, but what's lying underneath the Bondo may be a bigger job than it's worth. We've already wrapped up this passenger side. You see perfect fitment, no issues here. But this driver side, on the other hand, you can see the cracks here and the Bondo just started to flake off. We also peeled some of this Bondo back. That's for another video later time, but yeah, so we've got some major issues going on here. So let's get to sanding this and see what's going on. For quick stripping of paint, Bondo, everything, I use one of these barrel sanders. These things work amazing. Okay, let's get a close-up of this. As you can see, that barrel sander just makes quick work of stripping everything. So you see this has been repaired with some kind of poor welds here, and then they just filled it with Bondo. So we got a low spot, a couple high spots, a couple low spots. The rest of this, however, this is a factory line here, so we're not going to worry about that. But all of this feels good down to the rear, the front. So it's really just in this section here. Now if we take our panel, a rough estimate of where our panel sits, it's right about here. So you can see it's going to go right over that warped area. So it's kind of a rough fitment. I got to take the measurements from the other side, so make sure these are square. I believe it kind of actually comes up a bit too, like that. So we want to make sure we repair right in this area before we go drilling our holes. But one of the main reasons we wanted to strip the Bondo is because we're going to do rivnuts like we did the other side. We didn't want to rivnut through Bondo because it would just crack it, especially old Bondo. So now we're still working on the Corvette project, so don't really have room to bring the welder out here. But what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take our hammer set, we're going to tap down the high areas, and then what we're going to do, instead of using Bondo, we will actually weld and fill the low spots so it's actual metal, and then we'll grind it all smooth again using the straight edge. But for now, if we can get the high spots down, we can leave the low spots as long as it doesn't land where one of our rivnuts go, and we'll get the vent installed and then fix this on a later date for you guys. But so here's another awesome tool set. If you guys don't already have one, anytime you're working with metal, this is I think what, a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 piece set here. So what we're going to look for, want something with a little bit of a big surface with a nice concave, so we can work that metal out a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and go with this one. And unfortunately I can't get a dolly behind this because it's multi-layered without cutting it all out. So, but we can get some of this worked out a little bit. Low spot, high spot. I'm gonna grab our straight edge real quick, see where we're at. We're just gonna use a piece of straight steel here. Okay, so we're low in here, and we are really high right here. There we go. Okay. That's straight. It's okay to use filler. We're probably going to end up using filler on the very minor low areas, but you don't want to go, I mean, this stuff was, oh, I'd say anywhere from an 1/8 to 3/8 thick in some areas. So you really want to try to stick around like a 1/16 when you're using filler. So this is looking good and level across to this area now. So we just got a low area to fill. And then we still got some, a little bit of high there. There we go. Nice. Still feel like it's slightly rocking right there. There we go. A little bit more. Okay, there. Perfect. So we'll fill the really low areas with weld. So here, here, probably down in this groove here. And that'll bring this up. We'll work the metal a little bit more later on, but for now, straight edge wise, to follow the vent, that's pretty much right on. The only low area is at the weld. So it's a little better now. Don't have to worry about any of this anymore. When working with two sides of the vehicle, you don't have to worry about, I mean, precisions. You want to get it as exact as possible, but you don't need to get it down to the 1,000th, because no one can see both sides of the car at the same time. You just need to make sure you get enough measurements to where it is sitting on the car at the exact same angle and placement. So, plus these are handmade, so they're slightly different than one another anyways. I'm sure there's probably some tolerances there. But for us, we're going to take a measurement from where this body line starts to where the tip of the vent is going to be. And then we're going to take an angle here with an angle finder, and we'll reverse that angle on that side to make sure the angle is the same. So let's get that going. Set you guys down here for a second. So first thing we're going to do, should already be zeroed. So we're at 24.7 on our angle. .2. Let's go down here. Yeah, 24.2. Okay, we're gonna say 24.2 for our angle. I'm just got a little piece of masking tape here. 24.2 degrees. We're also going to go to the start of this, right where that body line fades to nothing. About 3¼ inches, 3.25 inches. Okay, I'm getting another measurement here. We're going to go from the top of right when this thing starts to straighten out. So 2 1/4. 2 1/4 from the chrome strip here. 2.25 inches. All right. If you guys are really liking this kind of content, head on over to our Patreon. That's where we do a lot of behind the scenes. We're trying to build a community there. Check us out. The link will be below. Also, for other kind of tools I use in my shop, you can check out my Linktree and go to my shop setup, and it'll show you all the fabrication tools I use, such as the CNC machine I use, the mini lathe I use, and that type of stuff. Okay, so next what I'm going to do, just to make this easier, is we know that from the chrome strip, it should be 2 1/4 from right where the chrome strip flattens out. So we're going to go right where it starts to flatten out. We're going to go with 2 1/4. One edge of the vent should be there. And then down here, we got 3 1/4 from where the body line disappears. Actually fades out to where it needs to go. So roughly, there's our 2 placements to make sure that this vent is going to sit the same space from the window as the other side. Plus, when we adjust our angle, we'll be able to make sure that this piece is sitting exactly where it needs to be sitting. One of the first things I did before installing the passenger side is I took the passenger side after I decided the spacing and measurement for all the bolt holes. I flipped that over and I made my own marks to match the exact spacing that we'll see on that side. So that way the bolts will be perfect spacing equal to the passenger side. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pilot hole here. This black line here was to measure our halfway point, so we had to remake some of the dots. That's why there's 2 dots. So we're gonna go ahead and drill on our black line at our dots, and then we're going to, once that's done, we're going to be using M4 hardware, and with an M4 you're going to want a 5/32 hole so that M4 bolt fits nice and tightly through there without too much play. All right, just find yourself a nice area to drill against. I like to find a ledge of something, really small drill bit to start this out on. Okay, there we go. And then what we'll do eventually, we'll pull this back off the car before we paint them and stuff, but you can see metal stretches when you hammer it. We had to hammer this section, so you can see kind of a bow in here. So we'll just take a sander, put that on the belt sander, and just sand it true. So now what we're going to do is we're going to increase those to a 5/32 hole now that we got our pilots. Okay, there we go. Set of mandatory tools whenever working with metal work and panels. And I say mandatory because it just makes life easier. You can use self-tapper screws, but for us is this Celica tool. So when you drill a hole, this will go through the hole, and these special pliers, what it does is it pushes that through the hole, and then once it grabs, it expands and holds your panel in place. So they're constantly reusable instead of doling out self-tapper screws or going through a bunch of self-tapper screws. So what we're gonna do now, and those are 1/8 inch Celicos. So what we're gonna do now is basically line this up fairly close to where our dots are. I'm gonna come over here and give you a perspective. As you can see there's our 2 black lines. Make sure you guys are still seeing this. Yep, okay. So that should be relatively pretty dang close to where this is gonna go. Then what we wanna do, okay, put that back up there again. We wanna get our angle right. There's our 2 1/4. And then this needs to come back. Okay. I want to just barely see that line right there. Okay. So now we want 24.2 degrees of angle on this. All right. Yep, 24.2, 24.4. 23.9. Set it on the flat. 24.2. Okay. So now what we need to do is I need to come down a bit. So this is sitting right in the cusp of the body line like the other side is. Right there. So that, we're lined up here, we're lined up here, and we are at 24.2. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill an 1/8 inch hole for a Celico. Okay. Get this thing to mount. And we'll get the angle right again. So there you go. That's how a Celico works. So now we got to get the angle right again. 24.2. That's sitting right in that body line just like we want it. Okay. A little more. Nope. There you go. So let's get this one started. And that will hold this panel in place. We can let it dangle for now. Stay. There we go. There you go. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and drill all of these out with a 1/8. Okay. It's fluctuating between 24.2, 24.3, but all of our holes are nicely lined up now. Turn that off. Okay, our next must-have is a rivnut tool. This kit right here, it comes with a ton of sizes. We got M3, M4, M5, M6, M8, M10, M12, 10 by 24, 3/8 by 16, 5/16 by 18, and 1/4 by 20. Comes with tons of rivnuts to get started. I mean, we're talking a pack for each size. Comes with a tool. This tool is used to swap out your fittings. So on this particular one, this is a 16-inch self-spinning, as you can see here. So it makes it easy when you have them in. You can spin this as a tool to run them in. And we'll show you, we'll demonstrate that now. But we ended up buying some stainless steel bolts with an Allen head, and then also separate pack. It didn't come in this pack, but a separate pack we ended up buying stainless rivnuts so these won't rust. So let's go ahead and get this thing rivnutted. Anytime you guys are using rivnuts, you want to find the drill bit that is basically almost the exact size as the rivnut itself. Like for us, we're doing this M4 rivnut. We're going to use a 15/64, which I'll show you here how nicely that fits. So we're gonna hit this with the sander real quick just to knock off all those edges. All right, so these two we got to be aware of where they wanted to walk, but let me show you how nicely these fit with a 15/64 drill bits on the ones that didn't walk. That didn't happen on the other side at all, so why this side grabbed, I don't know. Maybe because this was in a wreck, the panel, the second panel might be slightly out of whack, but see here, boom, that fits beautifully. So hopefully we don't have to seal this off. We are going to use 3M that foam sealer tape, so really this shouldn't have a leak. Okay, it's still big enough for this panel as long as it collapses. So we're gonna have to monitor that one because it can move. We don't want our bolt hole to get off. So that one's nice and tight, nice and snug. Okay, so same thing with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten down one of these for now. We'll show you how the riv tool works. So you put it in, you open it, and then you can spin her in there the rest of the way until it's flush. Once it's flush, about like that, you're just gonna go and you're gonna tighten that rivnut down. Ooh, I thought something broke on there. You gotta be careful on these thin ones. I thought it snapped off, but we're good. So anyways, that one is down and tight. You can see it really, I don't know, it really bites into the metal. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one done as well. Run it all the way in until it's flush. Okay. So you can just open and close these. That's what's nice. These have the speed release, so you just open and close them and it'll back itself out. So now we have 2 rivnuts in place. So what I want to do is I want to get these 2 in place, but how I'm going to go about that is I'm going to get a couple of these bolts started. Let's go grab our, I'm going to go grab the Allen wrench for this. All right, we're back. Okay, get this to start. Oh, this one is a little bit boogered right at the tip. There we go. Okay, there it is. Just gotta go. It just has to sit just right. All right, that one's going in. Let's get this one. The reason I'm doing this is so I can verify everything is down and in where it's supposed to be. Okay, so that one is golden, right? Okay. So this one will need to be probably repaired just right where that sits, because it's not quite, oh, there it is. Nope, it's not quite over that where it walks. So we're gonna have to probably, unfortunately, tack weld that and then plug that hole. Again, this will have sealer foam or sealer tape underneath it, trim tape, 3M double-sided, which will keep the water out of any crevice, but that's a little bit too big of a crevice. And try to show you guys what I'm seeing. Just ever so slightly that corner there. So what we want to do now is just make sure, since those ones can move, we want to line that up through this hole. So that when it does tighten, it's in the exact right spot. And it needs to be. There we are. Okay. So we had a crush right here, unfortunately, so we'll have to tap that back out with a hammer. Not too big of a deal. All the other holes are looking perfect. So the only one we got that's off right now is this lower one, which we're gonna have to do the same thing. We'll have to run it in place first and foremost. It needs to be up. That's gonna be too big. Okay. Well, you guys get to see what real life fabrication issues that arise. So here we are. These are little bits and pieces that, when doing things yourself, be aware of. There we go. Okay. So this one just needs to come up, apparently. I think if we come up to its spot, let's see, did it? Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. So we're gonna finish this one because it's not quite all the way tight yet. It's close, but not quite there. Okay, there we go. Why is this not coming? There it goes. Okay. Actually, that may have suppressed the hole just enough. Oh, yeah. That may have been just enough to have that hole pinch, because it pinches the material. So let's go ahead and get all these done. If you guys are interested in any of the tools seen within this video, check out the description for affiliate links for the Celica set, the drum sander, the hammer set, and the rivnut tool. All right, here it is, you guys. You see, this is nice and true. This angle follows there. We had by tapping out the high spots, now we only have to fill the low spots when we pull this panel back off. I did end up having to, remember when this one popped and made a noise? I don't know if it was the inner sleeve in there where the threads are kind of getting cockeyed or something, but I ended up running a tap through it to get that bolt in. But as you can see, Well guys, that's it. That is custom quarter vents made in-house here at JP Street Performance. I'll link some videos for when we were making these actual vents so you guys can see what we used, how we did it. But thanks for watching, you guys. This is JP Street Performance, where dream cars are built, not bought. From the first cut to the final pass, we'll catch you on the next project.